Oh, great. Well, now I know why you're called Light Inf, because you're all a bunch of lightweight pussies. The groin! Go for the groin! So much green and red. Hey, Mr. Motherland, don't these colors remind you of something? How did I not recognize this? Christmas! This is stupid, we can fight another day. Christmas is a time of giving, not killing. Giving, eh? Zero in on the middle of that force. Roger. You know what they say, it's better to give than receive. Greetings and salutations, bitches. This is Synoptic, and I hope you all had a very nice Christmas. For today, we're going to get down and dirty with Empire Total War. The map is Algeria. This is 1v1. In the bottom part of the map, I command the Americans. EFEM commands Austria at the top. My army consists of 4 long range, 1 Morgan's rifle, 5 line infantry, 1st Delaware unit, 1st of Maryland, 2 Howitzers, 2 Regiments of Horse, 2 Goons, and a Household Cavalry. And I have 2 contingents with artillery side, main force, and the weaker side to the left you just saw there, with a much smaller attack force. My opponent has 16 line infantry, 1 household cavalry, and 1 general's bodyguard. Now, this map is generally not a favourite amongst most players, mostly because of the walls and the fences that litter the map, although at this point in 1.5 I found the AI to be quite good in their pathfinding. I did not find one error, and most units shot when they should have, actually all of them. So I didn't have much problem there. And if you were listening, you probably noticed that he has 16 line infantry. Most people would consider that as spam, although at this point in the game's life I find that to be quite refreshing, as all this quest for balance and equality in the game has just made for a single build, which is 6 rifles, 6 cav and 7 line, which has become so boring. I prefer anything other than that, and this is quite nice to have. So EFEM, this is his army, and I was quite afraid in first seeing this, as he just rushed me. I'm not used to being attacked so quickly, and in these old maps the distance between the armies is quite short, so I did not have much time to fire my rifles, so I had to retreat them quite fast, and I'm already doing my counterattack. You saw me lose a Regiment of Horse because he had a backup unit. His army takes up the whole red line to red line and still has units in the background to back them up. So you saw another unit, one of my goons, one of the DLC ones, causing squares, and I'm hovering my cavalry around the place to make sure they stay in squares. One of his line infantry has routed already, but notice I have 2 contingents, and he realizes this very, very quickly. He spills his line infantry down the middle, so he's going to envelop my main, and he's going to envelop my contingent. It's already coming here, so it's basically a mirror image, the same thing on both sides, and I'm isolated with my flanking force. So I've never been attacked so quickly. This is very good in micromanagement for my opponent, maintaining squares where I'm attacking, and as well as pushing the fight. By not having anything else other than line, he surrenders the ability to fall back, so he has to keep pushing, otherwise I can fire with artillery. That is the main flaw of not having artillery in an artillery fight. If you cannot just stand there. If you just stand there and call your opponent an artillery camper, you're just a fool, because there is no reason in calling someone a camper when their artillery is in range, because that is a part of their army. Here is an example of focus fire and controlled fire. I have my main army in the general area have the fire at will off, and I'm going to charge a square, which is a big no-no, but it makes a big easy target for bullets. I turned fire at will on after the charge and fired them all at once. They went from 100 to about 50 within seconds and caused a rout. The morale system in this game works as deaths per second, so killing 50 in 2 seconds is much bigger morale than killing the same amount in a minute, which would have happened if I didn't charge and do controlled fire. Here you see me trying to get out of this envelopment, so I did that by focusing fire on the middle enveloping force, so he got afraid and pulled them out, so which has given me some free land to take. And I'm running over those walls, which has given me enough cover to survive the ordeal. And earlier we saw my army destroy the top part. You can see them routing now. My cavalry is hovering about, and here is some relatively thick lines, and I'm firing quicklime on them. If you have artillery, it's your responsibility to look for such things. Quicklime is very effective against thick lines, and when your opponent is using two line, such as here, it will not do as much damage. So when you see a column like that, you have to do it very quickly. You have to aim at it and shoot it, otherwise, because you won't get that many opportunities. So now that I have some free space, I can resume my rifle advantage, so I'm going to fire and fall back to the walls. And the walls I'm going to utilize very much so. So with my main army, I made sure I put it near the walls so I'd have some cover from any assault, protecting my artillery. And now I'm utilizing the walls as he's forced to do frontal assaults. And frontal assaults against walls are not so effective. Most bullets will hit the wall, and they're kind of like stakes. Although my men will not be affected by the walls at all, as they stand and then lean, whereas his army will hit the wall in most shots. So this is the second wave. The first wave was him doing a full envelopment. I got out of the envelopment, and now he's going to envelop me again. Although this time I'm much more prepared, as my force has become one strong force, as opposed to two split. You can see me pulling back my long range there. That is because the only thing protecting my artillery from that angle are the long range units, and they must stay alive. And here, this is his assault on the walls themselves. It looks quite futile, to be blunt. There is not much room for fire. And again, I'm firing on that general area. Because of the angle, I get more kills from the follow through, as quicklime just goes forward, and hitting an angled army would get more kills for me. And this is one of the most humiliating things you can do in Empire Total War. When an opponent decides to charge at your cav, you have a split second to set stakes, and I only just deployed them. Like, my men didn't even have the opportunity to shoot, that's how close it was. But in a micro fight like this, sometimes they will not see, and he saw me shaking my head with the camera to show my disdain for that move. It's very humiliating, especially if you see it happen, just seeing your whole cav unit just die from stakes. So here, I think he's going to back off, or he's going to come a little closer and then back off. And here we have a hero line infantry unit. I'm going to push him out. So I've stopped some of his assault on one of the corners, and then I'm going to charge the side. So I'm continuously attacking parts of the army, making holes. That is the only real advantage I have in terms of tactics, as more line infantry will warrant him envelopment over and over again. So if I cause squares, I will have the fire superiority, and it's also very quick to form those squares, as we can see, as we saw earlier as well. So with my Regiment of Horse, I'm just running through, and I want to keep him in squares. So I got my line infantry. I'm just going to engage in melee. There's only 30 or so men left, so it doesn't really matter what happens to them. As long as these squares stay, my artillery will continue to be safe, as well as my rifles, as you can see in the background. I think at this point he started to assault at the top part as well. I had to form a full perimeter to protect myself from the inevitable flanks. And there's my Regiment of Horse again, just running along, contributing to the morale effects, just hitting him in the rear and the sides. All those little things coupled with fire will cause routs. And again, with Austria you have the numerical advantage, but you do not have the attribute advantage. And there's also against my superior infantry, such as the 1st Maryland, which is very similar to the Bukele, which is the strongest rank firing unit in the game. The only difference I think is in melee. The firing is exactly the same stats. So from the sides, his attack is slowly failing. The longer my artillery can fire and my rifles, slowly but surely his army will dwindle. So we're entering phase 3. So the first wave was envelopment, the second wave was direct assault, undercover, and this is the last part where he will retreat once more. And another issue is retreating from artillery. I do not need to follow, all I have to do is unlimber my artillery, follow, go back into range and repeat. So he will have to attack yet again, which is, I guess, another flaw, but he absolutely has to regroup his army, and the only way for him to do that would be to run away and then regroup. And during this retreat phase, I will be able to fire artillery on him again. And I'll be also on the lookout for thick columns, as you can see here. So again, you have to be quite quick with your orders, with your artillery. The payoff is quite great. I got about 40 kills on this column, which again, that can mean life or death for your army, just doing these small things. Because it's not just good enough just to buy artillery and let it fire by itself. By default, it will fire at your opponent's artillery, or if they don't have any, the closest unit. And that may or not be beneficial to your attack. So tell them where to shoot. as many times as possible. Same with rifles, do not just put them in range and then let them go. As we saw earlier, we had controlled fire and specific targeting of units to make very quick routes when time is not on your side. And there's one unit left of a unit running to the help of a long range, and it appears the long range guy in response, all he had to do was scratch his butt in his animation. Quite awkward, I think so. And again, we're saying the same thing again with me just repeating the long range phase if he retreats, and I think he'll just quit here. So the game's practically over. He admits defeat. We had a little talk about his tactic afterwards. He said it worked in early, but the long range really does affect the fight as well as artillery. It's a good game to EFEM. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.